Money rarely explodes, it evaporates. It drifts out through small decisions that feel harmless in the moment, and then one day you look at your account and wonder how a full month of hard work ended up as a handful of takeout receipts, random deliveries, and a balance that refuses to grow. I like to think of those little leaks as sneaky subscriptions you never signed up for, except the product is stress. The good news is this is fixable, and not with guilt or extreme frugality. It starts by naming the 5 habits that quietly keep you stuck, regardless of income: impulse spending and emotional purchases, lifestyle creep, ignoring investments, relying on credit and carrying high interest debt, and living without a real budget or plan. I am not here to preach austerity or pretend that structural stuff does not matter. Income, luck, and where you start all play a role. But if you are playing on hard mode already, you want every edge you can get. And these habits are edges in reverse. My job is to translate the mechanics, show the math in plain English, and give you the small actions that stack. If you like clean, testable money ideas with zero hype, tap like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which of these 5 habits bites you most often. I read every one, and I build future experiments around what you are battling. A quick framing note before we dive in. A habit is just a repeated solution to a problem you faced before. You felt stressed, so you swiped. You felt proud after a raise, so you upgraded. You felt uncertain about investing, so you did nothing. None of that makes you reckless or lazy. It makes you human. The trick is to change the environment around your decisions so the better choice shows up first and the expensive one gets friction. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you a simple cash flow design, a few rules that do not require willpower, and the numbers that explain why this works. The tone will stay calm, the guidance will stay specific, and we will move past vague advice. If you want options, calm and compounding on your side, stick with me. Let us start with what we all want and why. The goal is not to buy nothing forever or hoard cash in a dusty account. The goal is options. Options look like a buffer so a flat tire does not become a crisis. Options feel like saying yes to a trip without asking a credit card for permission. Options sound like money quietly working in the background so your future paychecks can be optional sooner. Most people I talk to want a few simple outcomes. They want a stable, boring bill month where nothing surprises them. They want their savings rate to be visible, not theoretical. They want investments that actually grow after inflation and taxes. And they want their debt to shrink on a schedule that makes sense. Here is what that looks like in numbers. Start with a target savings and investment rate you can hold through good months and bad. For a lot of households, 15 to 25% of take-home pay is the sweet spot. And if that sounds high, we will engineer the system to get you there step by step. Build an emergency buffer of 3 to 6 months of essential expenses, which is just rent or mortgage, utilities, food at home, transport, insurance, and minimum debt payments. Call that your base. Anything past the base can go to investments and specific goals. Your tools are simple. Automate transfers to a savings or brokerage account the day money arrives. Keep fixed costs to a level where your needs stay under half of take-home pay whenever possible. Invest in broadly diversified, low-cost index funds or ETFs because they make market returns the default instead of a guessing game. And set debt payments above the minimum with a method that prioritizes the most expensive balances first or the smallest balances first if momentum keeps you moving. None of that requires fancy knowledge. It does require clarity and rules that trigger without you thinking. The desire underneath all this is calm, not boring life, but boring money. Money should be the quiet engine that buys you time and flexibility. When the engine runs right, you can splurge without guilt because you planned it, not because an algorithm convinced you it was urgent. So if options and calm are the target, why do so many smart, hardworking people end up in the same paycheck-to-paycheck loop, even after raises and wins? The answer lives in a few frictions we do not see clearly while we are inside them. Let me name the forces that tilt the table against you. First is impulse spending, which is not a character flaw, it is a design feature of modern commerce. Stores, apps, and feeds are optimized to grab attention, attach an emotion, and close a sale before your slower brain wakes up. Limited time offers and free shipping thresholds are small traps that feel like favors. A $20 upsell here, a $30 delivery there, and you have a silent subscription to lifestyle drift. Second is lifestyle creep. A bigger paycheck does not come with a bigger brain, it comes with social cues and nudges. The nicer apartment feels reasonable because you earned it. The new car feels smart because interest rates are lower if the car is new. The Friday dinner out feels small potatoes because the raise covers it. The result is your expenses rise line for line with your income, which kills your savings rate even as you feel richer. Third is avoiding investments. Some of that is fear of loss, which is normal because losses sting about twice as much as gains feel good. Some of it is jargon and gatekeeping. Some of it is the myth that you need a lot to start. While cash is safe from price swings, it is not safe from inflation. If inflation runs at 3% and your savings account pays 1%, your money loses 2% in purchasing power each year. Fourth is relying on credit and carrying balances. Credit cards can be useful for rewards and fraud protection when you pay in full. They turn expensive when interest kicks in. At 20% interest, a $2,000 balance costs about $400 a year in interest, and minimum payments stretch the debt for years. Fifth is the lack of a plan. When there is no budget, money is a fog. You might feel disciplined, but without a simple map, you will reroute yourself by mood. Decision fatigue builds through the day, and your brain starts looking for shortcuts. The shortcut is the swipe. None of these frictions mean you cannot win. They do mean you should not expect discipline to be design. Instead, you change the design. You create speed bumps before expensive choices and use automation where it helps, and then you let math and momentum work in your favor. Here is the model I use and teach because it plays nicely with real life. Think of income as water flowing into 3 connected buckets. Bucket 1 is needs, which are the bills that keep the lights on and the wheels turning. Bucket 2 is pay yourself, which covers savings and investments you automate the day money arrives. Bucket 3 is wants, which funds fun and upgrades guilt-free. The order matters. Pay yourself happens before wants, not after, because leftover money rarely exists. Now layer 5 rules on top so the system runs without drama. Rule 1 is a wait rule for non-essentials. Anything over an amount you choose, say $20 at first and maybe $50 later, gets a 24-hour pause before purchase. The pause breaks the dopamine loop and gives your slower brain time to check the plan. Rule 2 is the raise lock. Whenever your income increases, you pre-decide a percentage that gets captured and redirected to your pay yourself bucket. For many people, that is half of any raise or windfall. If you get a $400 monthly raise, $200 automatically flows to savings or investing. $200 can upgrade lifestyle. Rule 3 is default investing. You set an automatic monthly transfer, even $50 or $100 at first, into a diversified index fund or ETF. That is your baseline, and you scale it up as debt falls and income rises. Rule 4 is debt priority. If you carry high interest balances, you pick either the avalanche method, which attacks the highest rate first for maximum math, or the snowball method, which attacks the smallest balance first for maximum momentum. You pay more than the minimum and you do not add new charges you cannot clear. Rule 5 is a weekly money check. 10 minutes, same day each week. You look at the past 7 days of spending, you confirm your transfers, and you make one decision about the next 7 days. The weekly cadence is the right speed for human attention. A quick set of definitions, so we are on the same page. Budget just means a plan for where dollars go before the month starts. Savings is money set aside for known or unknown expenses soon. Investment is money placed into assets expected to grow faster than inflation over years. Compounding is growth on top of prior growth, which is the engine. This model is small on purpose. Small systems survive busy weeks and tough months. Once this runs, you get results quickly enough to stay motivated. Let me show you what this looks like with round numbers. Imagine take-home pay is $4,000 a month. Today your needs are $2,200, your wants are $1,400, and you save $400 on a good month but often less. You decide to run the 3-bucket model. You set pay yourself at $600 to start, which is 15% of take-home. You automate $300 to a high-yield savings account for emergency cash and $300 to a broad market index fund in a brokerage. You put a 24-hour wait on non-essentials above $20. You do a weekly check on Sunday night. After week 1, you notice $120 of random deliveries and add the items to a list for review. 2 of them still matter after 24 hours and 1 falls away. That is $40 saved without pain. Month 1, you also choose Avalanche on debt. You have a $2,000 credit card at 22% and a $1,200 store card at 18%. You pay minimums on both and add an extra $150 to the 22% card until it is gone. The weekly check keeps you from recharging. At $150 extra per month, that $2,000 card can be cleared in about 12 months, even if you started from zero progress. If you squeeze another $100 by trimming once for a few months, you can cut that timeline almost in half. At 90 days, 3 things usually show up. First, your emergency cash moves from 0 to around 900. Second, your investments start to feel routine, not scary. Third, the small weights compound into fewer regrets. At 1 year, with $300 per month invested, at an average 7% annual return, you are around $3,700 invested plus market growth, which is roughly $3,900 to $4,000 depending on timing. The savings account could hold $3,600 if you kept the pace. If a raise shows up, your raise lock rule captures half. A $400 raise diverts $200 more per month to investing and savings, which moves you toward a 20% savings and investing rate without feeling like punishment. The bigger outcome is mental. You see your savings rate on purpose. You see debt fall on schedule. You feel the difference between a want that fits and a want designed to hijack. That sense of calm is why this sticks. Now let us zoom into each habit and break what breaks you. Impulse spending happens when a cue hits emotion before reason. You are stressed after work, you open an app, and within 90 seconds there is a box on the way. The brain is not evil, it is efficient. It tags certain small purchases as relief. So the tactic is not shame, it is friction. The 24-hour wait is a friction tool. It feels silly the first few times, and then it saves you real money. If you paused 5 $30 buys each month and 2 fall away, that is $60 per month and $720 a year with zero pain. Pair the wait with a quick yes list and a quick no list you write once. Your yes list is the handful of categories that add real value for you this season. Maybe it is fitness, books, and one hobby. Your no list is the stuff you are done overpaying for. Maybe it is novelty kitchen tools and fast fashion. During the week, when an urge hits, you check which list it touches. If it is a yes, it still gets the weight. If it is a no, you close the tab and take a walk or make tea. That tiny ritual trains you to separate relief from purchase. Track spending for 1 month just to measure, not to judge. I like to make it stupid simple. Open notes on your phone at the checkout line and write coffee 4, lunch 12, ride 18. At the end of the week, total the lines in 2 minutes. Seeing totals by category changes behavior because it makes the invisible visible. If you want an extra edge, use a separate debit card or digital wallet for once only and preload it each payday with your fun money. When it is gone, you are done until next payday. That turns an endless fuzzy category into a firm boundary without thinking about every swipe. Watch out for late night and end of day purchases. Decision fatigue is real. Make your default that you do not buy after 9 p.m. If something is urgent at 10 p.m., it will still be urgent tomorrow morning. And if you know stress is your trigger, pick a replacement behavior in advance. A walk, 10 push-ups, call a friend, brew coffee at home. The point is not to be perfect. The point is to make the easier path also the cheaper path. Lifestyle creep is sneaky because it feels like progress. A raise shows up, you celebrate, and then you adjust 3 or 4 recurring costs without noticing. The payment on the car increases by $200, rent goes up by $300 for nicer amenities, dining out stretches by $150 a month, and the raise is gone. The fix is the raise lock rule in practice. Before the raise hits, decide the split. Half to wealth, half to lifestyle is a strong default. If the raise is $600, $300 gets captured automatically into higher savings and investing, and $300 buys upgrades you actually feel. That keeps your savings rate climbing every time income climbs. The other side of creep is pride spending, which is the I earned it voice that is not wrong, just loud. Pride likes one-time splurges. Your budget likes subscriptions you can cancel. Aim to translate pride into spend once, not spend forever. Now the investing piece. Investing is just buying assets that are expected to grow faster than inflation over years, accepting short-term swings for long-term gain. The simplest path is broad index funds or ETFs that own hundreds or thousands of companies at once for a very low annual fee. Set an automatic monthly amount, even $100, and let time do most of the work. Here is the math that keeps me calm. If you invest $300 per month and the market averages 7% a year over a decade, you end up with roughly $51,000. At 0%, you end with $36,000. Inflation at 3% makes cash worth less each year, even if the number stays the same. Investing carries risk, and there will be down years. Plan on volatility and measure progress by the number of shares you own and the habit of contributing, not by the last price tick. If you have high interest debt, you can split the difference. Pay minimums plus extra toward the highest rate while still investing a small amount to build the habit and capture any employer match if you have one. The main thing is to start small and automate. Momentum is a better friend than motivation. Credit is a tool. It is great for rewards and protections when you pay in full. It is brutal when balances carry. Let us make the cost visible with simple numbers. A $2,000 balance at 20% costs about $400 in interest each year if it sits. If you only pay the minimum, the timeline stretches and the interest compounds against you. To break it, pick a method you can execute. The avalanche method lines up debts by interest rate and throws extra cash at the highest rate first while paying minimums on the rest. The snowball method lines up debts by balance and knocks out the smallest first to build quick wins and motivation. Both work. Avalanche wins on math, snowball wins on psychology. Choose the one you will stick with and automate extra payments the day you get paid, so there is nothing left to drift elsewhere. If your budget feels like a diet, you will bounce off it. So use a simple rule of thumb to start and then customize. The 50-30-20 rule says roughly half of take-home pay to needs, about 30% to wants, and at least 20% to savings and investing. If your needs are higher right now, fine. Make the numbers explicit and pick a path to move them down over time. Negotiating insurance, refinancing a car, moving one tier down on housing, or cutting unused subscriptions can free up hundreds a month. For irregular income, build around a base paycheck. Average your last 3 months of income, set needs based on a conservative number below that, and treat any extra as a mini windfall split by your raise lock rule. For low income months, the emergency fund is the shock absorber. You draw down and then refill. A quick weekly money check is the real engine. 10 minutes to review the last week, drop transactions into needs, wants, or pay yourself, and plan one tweak for the next week. You are not chasing perfection. You are nudging the system back on track. After a few cycles, the fog lifts because you are looking at cash flow on purpose. When you feel in control, you spend more deliberately, which makes the budget feel like a map, not a diet. Real life throws curveballs, so let us pressure test the system. What if you get a big unexpected bill while you are paying off debt and just started investing? In that case, pause extra debt payments for 1 month, pay the bill from your emergency savings if you have it, or from your wants bucket if you do not, and then resume. Do not stop the automatic investment entirely if you can avoid it. Even a token $25 or $50 transfer keeps the habit alive, which matters more than one perfect month. What if markets drop right after you start? Welcome to investing. Downturns are normal. The mechanism that turns drops into opportunity is dollar cost averaging, which just means you buy a fixed dollar amount on a fixed schedule. When prices fall, you buy more shares with the same dollars. Over time, that lowers your average cost. You measure progress in shares, not in moods. What if your partner or roommate does not share your enthusiasm for a plan? Start by sharing goals, not spreadsheets. Ask what money should do this year for both of you. Translate each priority into a small monthly amount and automate those first. Build one joint weekly check that is more like coffee and a scoreboard than a tribunal. 2 humans on the same page beat any app. What if you are late to the game? The best time was earlier. The second best time is now. Compounding prefers time, but contribution rate is your powerful lever. A 35-year-old investing $500 per month for 25 years at 7% ends near $380,000. A 45-year-old investing $800 per month for 15 years ends near $250,000. Both numbers beat doing nothing. What if you love travel, or gear, or food, and do not want to feel deprived? Good. Put it in the plan. Fund the thing that lights you up out of wants on purpose, and cut the stuff that does not move the needle for you. Money should serve your values. The rules are not prison bars, they are bowling bumpers. One last trade-off to name. Paying off high-interest debt before investing is often the right move mathematically, but if you have a match available at work, capture it, because that is a 50 to 100% instant return on those dollars. I design plans to be resilient. Resilient plans bend during a rough month and spring back without shame. The weekly check is where that bounce happens. Let me bring this home with a short checklist you can live, not a list you will forget. The 5 habits that keep you poor are impulse spending, lifestyle creep, ignoring investments, relying on credit and carrying balances, and living without a budget or plan. The fix is not a personality transplant. It is a design upgrade. You run income through 3 buckets in order. Needs, pay yourself, wants. You add 5 rules that turn good intentions into defaults. A simple weight on non-essentials, a raise lock that captures gains, a small automatic investment that grows with you, a debt priority method that you can execute in your sleep, and a weekly 10-minute check that keeps you honest without stress. If you remember nothing else, remember this pairing. Options are the goal, automation is the method. When you automate the right behaviors, you get compounding on your side and you remove dozens of small temptations from your day. That is why a calm money system beats a clever one. Your next move can be tiny and still count. Pick one of these to do in the next hour. Set up a 24-hour wait on purchases over $20. Schedule a weekly 10-minute money check in your calendar. Set an automatic transfer of $50 or $100 to savings or an index fund on payday. Or write your raise lock rule in one sentence and put it where you will see it when good news arrives. Then tell me which habit you're replacing first and what your first move is. I want to hear the real obstacles so I can test more ways to make this easier. If this kind of calm, evidence-based breakdown helps you breathe a little easier about money, tap like, subscribe, and drop a comment with your one change for the next 7 days. I will be there reading and replying. Money should buy you time, not headaches. Design the system once, keep the weekly rhythm, and let the math do the heavy lifting. You will be shocked at how quickly progress compounds when you stack small wins and remove sneaky leaks. I am rooting for your boring, beautiful money engine. Let us build it.